And we're back.
We are so back.
The backest.
Oh, Lord. So, we have been receiving some amazing feedback and tons of love from a lot of people. People we know, people we don't know, and it's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And so we thought this next episode would be great if we just focused on the topic of love in general, not necessarily always romantic love, but all love in all forms, right? Self-love, love with your family, losing love, all of the love.
All the love.
Yeah. Because our last episode was pretty heavy. There's a lot going on, and we are hopeful to be able to make this one a little bit lighter. But with that may come some heaviness, because love can be hard sometimes too.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
But love teaches us a lot. So if you think back on love, depending on where you are in your life with regards to love, you can have really triggering emotions, but also know that that has helped you and shaped you in some way. I don't really know how to put it into words, but
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I was just wondering, personally, I wanted to know when the first time you felt love was from another human being outside of your family. Let me clarify on that.
yeah. So like a romantic love, like, whoa, this is what love means, right?
Yes.
This is what love is. Oh, it's
And
hard.
I'm not offended. I'm not jealous. I just want to hear it. I want to hear about your happiness and your love experience.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny to like think back the times that you thought you were in love.
Yes.
So I think that there's a very big difference between the first time I fell in love or I had loving feelings toward another person. There's so many layers to that. There's when you were a kid and you have your best friend and you have feelings of kind of love. I don't know, in that sense, because you're just like solely connected to them as a child, that like you feel love. When I was a kid, I don't remember who it was. I should remember, and I'm so sorry to who this was that I forget, but I like put on a sheet, and it was my wedding dress, and I got married in front of my house to some boy down the street. I think it might have been the boy that I referenced in the last one. Now he's a gay man and I'm a lesbian.
Wow.
But, yeah, so I'm like, oh my God, I love him, having those feelings.
Cute.
But
how old were you? Do you know?
I mean, I was pretty young.
Yeah.
I was pretty young. Yeah. I was probably like maybe 8. Maybe even before that.
Yeah. I thought you would say younger than that.
Yeah. It was probably before that. It was the sheet was very big on me.
Okay. Just to put that into context there. Understood.
Yeah. So I don't know. My brain just went to adolescent love of those first times that got you excited.
Sure.
Well, before I go into more of a romantic love of like, oh crap, this is what like actual love is. Do you have any like kiddo loves or you were
kiddo ones? I think my sisters would laugh at me when I would say, let's go outside and play kickball with Timmy the Tooth. There's this boy down the street and his name was Tim, and we called him Timmy the Tooth because that was a cartoon and that was just like the cool thing to call him. And of course I always got picked last for kickball because I never played any sports with balls in them, and people knew that I wasn't going to be the most athletic person.
Aww.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm not offended. I was a little hurt when he picked my sister over me and then I was on the opposite team. But yeah, I mean, I had a crush on him. I didn't love him, but it's just like one of those like innocent, things that you think like, ooh, this is interesting. I don't know why I'm looking at this person a little bit differently than the rest of the world. But yeah, no, I wouldn't say anything significant until adolescent years, like you just mentioned.
And you've had, boyfriends in the past, and I've had boyfriends in the past. And I definitely, thinking through high school or something, or even like later in middle school when, serious relationships start, then I had a lot of friends that like dated from middle school throughout high school, right? Those would be serious relationships. And
did they last beyond high school?
I'd have to check Facebook. Like, I have no idea. I don't keep in contact with most of these. I don't think so. But that's when loving feelings start. And I had like boyfriends throughout that, but I probably told them I loved them, but I didn't really mean it. Right. Sure. Just because I thought I had to. And my friends were in love, or so they said. Right. But it definitely wasn't until I had my first girlfrild that I
that you had real genuine feelings of love.
Oh, I told everyone she was my first, last, and forever. Like, oh yeah, I was in love.
But yeah. So what were those feelings that you had that made it different for you, that you really felt like you loved this person?
Just the feeling of like, it just feeling so right without me having to overthink it or lie. Like, I think a lot of the times when I think about telling somebody I love them, but I actually like didn't, because I was just checking a box or something, right? Yeah. If I was like, we've been dating for about 4 months now, I should probably tell them I love them. Yeah. And my gut saying, you're joking yourself, but my head is like, now's the right time. There was no overthinking that with that first, holy crap, I love this girl. And it was just everything. It was the butterflies. It was the just feeling alive, so alive when, she would hold my hand, or when she kissed me for the first time in my driveway and things like that. It was just like, I don't know. It was just a really, really, really good feeling. Good. But it was also tied into the fact that I was finding myself at the same time. So was it this everlasting love? No, but like, how I'm like first, last, and forever. Well, maybe not her, but like, it gave me the feeling of, wow, this is me. This is the love that I have been looking for, or that I will have now for the rest of my life. And it was probably just the aspect of the fact that I was finding myself as a gay woman.
Well, I think that you've been able to sort of carry that initial hopeful feeling, somewhere with you in your back pocket, to be able to get you, through your other relationships, and maybe holding on to that and just saying, oh, I hope this will I hope I feel this spark again, or I hope, when she holds my hand, I'm going to have those raw feelings. So I think she gave you a lot of hope and things to look forward to, even though things didn't work out with both of you, if that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah.
What about you? I'm going to turn my headphones off while you explain yours. I'm just kidding.
How rude.
I'm just kidding.
What about me? So the first time that I felt, real love, I mean, it was with a girl also. And I was very young. I'd say probably around the same age that you were, like 14, 15. But the interesting thing to me about me loving this person is I never thought twice that she was a girl. Because before her, I had a boyfriend, right? I was in 8th grade and a boyfriend, and probably again because that was the thing to do. But then I got to high school, our Catholic high school, and I just, for some reason, never thought twice about having feelings for this person. I didn't think anyone would judge me for it. I didn't feel a need to sort of hide it. I mean, I didn't go and shout it from the rooftops or anything, but I was just like, I like this person, and I'm not going to fight it.
I love that.
Yeah, it was so interesting. And I remember this one time, she told me the story afterward. She was getting ready for basketball practice, and she was listening to NSYNC's song Girlfriend, right? And this was before we were girlfriends. And after she asked me to be her girlfriend, she's like, I was going to play you this song like a few weeks ago, but I was really nervous. And then she played it. Everyone knows the NSYNC Girlfriend song. So I was like,
is that why you guys didn't last? Because you're a Backstreet Boy?
Yes. Boys girl? Actually, if she would have known that. BSB over NSYNC for me all day. But,
we might lose some listeners because of that, because that's a pretty...
I feel like you're an in-syncer, though.
Strong topic. No, I'm Backstreet Boys because of you.
Yeah. Well, to each his or her or their own, right? At any rate, yeah. So I had real like loving feelings for this person. Obviously, that didn't work out. But similar to you, she gave me those feelings of hope. Like, oh, wow, this is exciting. I want to be around this person. When I'm not around this person, I miss them. And I didn't have to try or lie or fake anything with her. It was really just raw and innocent and just like what I felt. So it was pretty great. Mm-hmm. And with that comes heartbreak afterward, but allowing yourself to open up and feel those feelings. Yeah, you put yourself at risk for losing that, of course, but without big risk, you can't get a big reward. Right. So there's that piece of it too.
I wonder how many people, or especially when it's younger love, I'll call it younger love, high school love.
Sure.
They are able to look back and evaluate their level of love for somebody based on the heartbreak, right? Like if you, and if you were broken up with, is that the moment you realize that I was so in love with this person and they broke my heart? Or was it from the beginning? You know?
Yeah. It could be both.
A little bit of both. Or you realize how much you love them once it's ending.
Well, of course.
Right.
That whole saying of you never know what you have until it's gone kind of thing. That's how I felt about you, actually. So, I mean.
And likewise, too.
Yeah.
We have kind of an up and down story when it comes to that, where
totally
we both walked away from each other at one point in our lives because of timing. Mm-hmm. And we both essentially broke each other's hearts. Mm-hmm. But, which we can get into. But, yeah, no, I love that. I love knowing your love stories and how you, and I'm obsessed with the fact that you just owned it. And I think that that's just the type of person that you are in any aspect of life. It's kind of like what we've been learning. Like if you just own it, then other people are going to get on that same wavelength as you.
Absolutely.
And if you're not doubting it and you're just very direct, like, this is my girlfriend, I'm in love with a girl, like, yeah, here I am. Right. People are like, okay, respect.
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
Whereas if you're like, so
yes,
they're going to be like, are you sure?
Right.
I don't think so. This might be a phase.
This is a phase. I was just going to say that. Yes.
Right. So, yeah.
Well, so the thing for me, I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about our love. The thing for me that really stood out, I mean, it was pretty much the first time I ever saw you in my life, where in my opinion, love at first sight is a real thing, because I've been fortunate enough to feel that with you.
Correct.
You know, I didn't know you prior to high school, and we sort of met each other through mutual friends. And so I don't even know. Do you remember where we were when we first hung out or saw each other? Or I'm trying to place that, to be honest.
Honestly, probably O'Brien's after softball games. Remember, we would go watch our friends' parents play in softball games, and we would either end up going over to O'Brien's or Friendly's or whatever, mixture of the two of them. I think that's where it all started, was going to those softball games.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And let's put this into context. So O'Brien's, yes, is a pub, but we were also teenagers.
16,
just
15,
having French fries there. Correct. Basically. That's what happened. And all the parents were having their post softball game beers. So yeah. And then we'd walk across the street and get ice cream. And
sometimes we would just go together. Like sometimes, yes. You're
like, Bethany, do you want to go?
We'll go pick it up.
Yeah, we'll go get the order to go. But the interesting thing to me was I never had to try with you, but that was even before I spoke any like verbal words to you. Correct. It was all initially across the room. Who is this person? We would lock eyes, and still do, honestly, to this day. Because we could be in a room full of people and still find each other and just have that moment of like, okay, she just looked at me. Hang on, deep breath. So that was initially, I was like, who is this girl that is just like staring into my soul? While meanwhile, both of us had girlfriends at the time. And, you know, it was initially like very confusing. Like, what do I do with this? Because I'm in a relationship with someone else. We both were in other relationships and didn't want to jeopardize those things. But also we had this undeniable, almost palpable
eye contact.
Eye contact.
No, it was okay. I know we're like downplaying that a bit, but here I was with my first girlfriend ever,
Yes.
who I thought was my first, last, and forever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And here comes this bombshell of a redhead, just like,
ooh, thank you,
stepping into my world, and just by looking at me, I was like heart to my stomach, back up to my throat, just losing my breath, just like crazy. Just and there was even one time we were all on the couch watching a movie. My girlfriend had her arm around me, your girlfriend had her arm around you, and we literally just stared at each other.
I don't even know what movie
eyes.
we were watching.
No, me neither. The whole time.
Yeah.
My girlfriend called me out after. It was like, oh, how was the movie? Oh, you wouldn't know because you were staring at Ashlee the whole time.
Whoops.
But seriously, it was like, and I've never felt that with anybody else before. It was just like how do I say that word? Familiarity. Is that right?
Yeah. No, that sounds good.
I recognized you from before. Yes. Like, I think that's the only explanation for it, because I've never felt it before, and I hadn't felt it since. And just to put that into context, feeling that before, meaning feeling it in like another life. Correct.
Almost.
Yeah. I recognized your soul through the channel of your eyes. 1,000%. And some people might think that's woo woo, and some people, like that's not that's corny, if you will. Sure. And if you're not a soulmate kind of love, then like if that's not what you're looking for, totally respect that. And that's fine. It's just, when you feel it, like there is nothing you can do to deny it. Yes. It's like, if you're with somebody and they leave you because they say, I'm so sorry, like there is just no way I can deny this feeling that I have for this other person, then it's probably because they are soulmates and you guys are not. Right. Unfortunately. And that really sucks, but hopefully that means that yours is next. Right. It's coming, and you're finding your person. Right. But so I was with her for a year, and I waited until after Christmas because our 1 year anniversary was coming up. I didn't want to like leave her, whatever. Like during that time, I felt really bad. And yeah, so then we finally get together in January of
2006.
Yeah. And we gave it a shot. And I would like to say that we never crossed the line with each other besides eye contact. Yes. When we were with other people, which was really great. Like,
there was a lot of eye contact, but that was it. We swear. But so much so that we had to leave our other relationships. Like, that's how powerful it was, just to be honest. So we got together, and we were together for 1 month. Yes, that is 30 days.
It was the best month of my life.
And it was extremely challenging. And let me tell you why, from my perspective. So I was a freshman in college, and I was on at that time, I was in a different place in my life than you were, right? You were in high school. I was in college. It was extremely challenging. I was in nursing school. I had a totally different group of friends, and the timing was just not right for us.
And you were the coach at our Catholic high school.
Yes, we are letting the entire world know that right now. Okay. Yeah. So totally couldn't be a thing. Because I coached the cheerleading team, and Bethany went to the school that I coached at. So that 1 month was all we could make happen at the time. And it was so sad. And
it was very painful. I would literally drive. Oh my God. I'm like, ugh, I didn't think this was going to be an emotional episode, but I would drive.
Jokes on you.
My mom would drive me to school, right? Because I was 15. Right? I don't even know how old. I wasn't driving yet, or I didn't have my own car yet, I should say. My mom was driving me to school, and every day, you know how in the morning they just have the same songs that come on over and over again, like it's kind of like on a loop until like the talk show starts at like 8 or something.
Yeah, I didn't know Whatever that. You taught me that.
So we would listen to the same songs on this like 95.7. It would come on, and it would be like one of our songs. It was probably Hinder or something like that. And I cried.
Lips of an Angel.
I cried the Cheaters anthem, which we didn't. We just did eye contact.
It was the eye contact. Okay.
I would cry like every day to school. And I remember it was like a year later at least a year later where I was like on vacation and that song came on and I was like sitting by a fire. There was live music. They started playing that Hinder song and I was still crying. Like I was still crying a year later. So it took a lot for me to get past it because I understand now why timing didn't work out for you or us from your point. But then I finally move on and you kick yourself in the ass and say,
Totally.
I fucked up and I want you back. And I'm like, I literally just, it took me 365 days to get over your redheaded beautiness.
Yeah.
I can't. Like, I have to go explore other things. I have to.
It was so devastating. And then for me, from that day on, the whole world, well, everyone that I told, which is like my family and my friends and pretty much anyone who ever asked me.
Every girlfriend you had.
Every girlfriend I had, I was like, oh, Bethany was the one that got away. And I mean, that's not a pleasure to hear if you're my girlfriend and I'm telling you that. But I mean, it was true. And, you know, through the trials and tribulations of our other relationships, and sort of seeing each other once a year at a family party and still that eye contact and that just sort of like, I'll call it like electrical current between us, in my opinion, never went away.
The friendly hug that was the extra squeeze at the end.
Extra squeeze. That lasted way too long in a crowd of people. And they were probably looking at us like, why are they still hugging? But I mean, yeah, it was definitely, I kicked myself for a lot of years, for 14 years because of the poor timing. And I wish I could have taken it back and just wrote it out with you. And then, you know, fast forward to how life was supposed to be and reconnecting back in 2018. And now just, I mean,
at the perfect time. Like, talk about
perfect time.
Yeah. Yeah. It was perfect. It's crazy. It like blows my mind, to be honest with you. And it's just like such a beautiful thing. And it just made me trust the universe in this life so much because like you couldn't plan that. Right. And so it just, gave me this whole new, whenever something comes our way, I don't even stress about it as much as I would before, just because of how much I trust the universe, really because of how we ended up reconnecting and how this all happened. So
yeah, it's really unreal. I mean, I'm so grateful for it. And what an undeniable, wonderful thing. I mean, your love takes my breath away. And I'm hopeful that many people in their life get to feel that because it's the best feeling that I've ever felt. And I thank you every day for that.
You don't have to thank me, honey. It's just natural.
Fair enough.
But not everybody longs for that, right? That doesn't mean like if you are with somebody and they don't take your breath away, or, you know, you don't have those butterflies, or you don't have this like, oh my God, you know, there she is, or I can see your soul, or we've been together in our past lives. Like, even if that's not your thing, that doesn't mean it's not love, right? Our definition of love at this point is that, and everybody else has different aspects of love. And I feel like maybe people, I don't know, even tying into like self-love, right? Like, some people will say, you know, I can't love somebody until I love myself.
True.
Right.
Yes.
That's like I don't know. I feel like that's
not the case for everybody.
No.
Right.
I mean, honestly, for me, I did not have self-love. Obviously, you heard me in the last podcast episode of just the struggle that I had and how I wasn't even like myself, but you like gave me this mirror to show me how beautiful I am inside and out. And I genuinely don't believe I would have gotten there without you. So I feel like your role of being my soulmate is that like you are this person who allows me to find my true self within me, to allow me to live that life, which then allows me to love you with every single piece of my soul. And I couldn't do that and so the people, you know, if you're somebody who is like, I need to do work on myself before I can even go out and find somebody, just maybe try to find that person and give that person a chance. And if it doesn't work, it's not because of you and your lack of self-love. It's just because they're not the person to bring out that self-love in you. Right.
Yeah. That could be the case for some people. Absolutely. And there are some that really do, they want to work on themselves first, and that's okay. Right. Everyone has a different story. But I wouldn't want anyone to be doing that for so long and sort of lose themselves in that process and think that they can't move forward and be with someone because they're not their best self at that time. Right. So sometimes you do need that other human being to bring you to your utmost ability and make you be your truest version of yourself. Everyone's different. And that self-love piece, I think once you get to that point and you consistently do it and you have, you call it mirror talk with yourself, it really gives you a totally different perspective on the way you view the world, your relationship, not only with your person, but with your family and your friends. So what are some things that you do to practice self-love?
To practice. Well, I mean, it's going back to the previous episode where it's been therapy, and we did this energy management 30-day challenge, and just putting time and effort into myself that I didn't before, in regards to listening to podcasts or reading certain books. And honestly, they're ones that my therapist laid me up with, right? Like, she's like, hey, have you heard of Glennon Doyle? No idea. How the hell have I not heard of Glennon Doyle before now? And she had a book called Untamed, and I read that. Well, I read a little bit of it, and then I got the Audible because I'm a terrible reader. And so I just listened to it. And that was, that was inspirational. So that made me then go to, I don't know, then she had a podcast, and now I listen to those. And, but it's like looking for those pieces to, I don't know, and then practicing them. Like, you can't just go to therapy and then come back in a couple of weeks or a month. Like, there are things that you have to work on.
Of course.
And, we've done mirror talk. Like, you have, oh my God, that was crazy.
I love mirror talk.
Where I was just like, for some reason, where we were like sitting and talking, there was a mirror right there. We were on vacation, and you were just like, look at how beautiful you are. Just like look in that mirror and just tell yourself, like, look at yourself. Yeah. And I wouldn't have done that by myself. And we did some mirror, that was like 30 minutes long. Mirror talk. But, so that, and now I'm to this point where I was listening to something, and somebody mentioned that they heard a love song, and they sang it to themselves. Themselves. And I was like, interesting. Like, I put on the song and I listened to it. I was like, okay, yeah, that's cute. It's probably from the 80s because I don't know any of the 80s music because I was born
you were a 90s baby.
So I was like, okay, whatever. Like, I listened to it, and then for some reason, so I'm driving home and I'm like, I want to listen to Natalie Merchant. Like, I just want to rock out from my car ride home to Natalie Merchant. Like, who wouldn't want to do that? And the song Kind and Generous came on. And now what's today? 2021. Today's November. This was like, this was last weekend. And I've been working on myself since, I would say, March is when I really started to dive into to that. And that song came on, and I'm singing it. And if you don't know it, please listen to it. And I started singing it to myself, right? Because I'd never even thought of doing that before. You listen to these love songs and you're just like, I want that. I want that. Or my partner gives that to me, or whatever it is. But you don't, whoever listens to love songs and are like, I'm going to sing this to myself.
Right. I think it was so great that you came home and told me that story, because you're right. Typically people will sing it for or about other people.
Yeah. And like that song,
I wish I was there. I wish there was like a camera in the car so I could see you doing that.
Yeah. I agree. I wish you were there. I obviously told you right away, but I needed that moment with myself,
yes,
I think.
Absolutely.
And it was just so beautiful. And I was singing it out loud and just crying. And, there's there, especially the last part where it's like, I'm gonna read some of the lines where it just like hit my soul. And like, it was as if my anxious self, my insecure self, the self that has been neglected for so long, was just saying thank you for putting the time and effort into this. And it's like, I want to thank you for so many gifts you gave, the love, the tenderness. I want to thank you. I want to thank you for your generosity, the love, and the honesty that you gave me. I want to thank you, show my gratitude, my love, and my respect for you. I want to thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
And it just keeps saying thank you. And I want to thank you. Thank you.
You're giving me goosebumps.
It just kept on going. And the more I said thank you, the more I cried.
Yeah.
And I just put like my hand over my heart, and I just like felt myself, and I was just thanking myself. It was so powerful. And I want everyone to do it. I want everyone, if it's not Kind and Generous, if it's not that song, just listen to love songs in a different way, because your love, you're not going to find that love from somebody else. Other people can guide you to that. Therapists, soulmates, whoever, friends.
Yes.
But you're the only one that can acknowledge that that love inside of you.
Yeah. And most of the time we're just so critical of ourselves, right? We want to be the most successful. We want to be the best at what we do. We want to make a lot of money, or whatever your personal goals are. And when you fall short of those things here and there, it's more of it's a disappointed talk, right? And you're not empowering yourself. You're almost like beating yourself down. And so for you to have the ability, and hopefully for others to have the ability, to turn around and just say thank you to yourself. And maybe like look in the mirror when you sing it, or when, because saying it out loud is different than singing it in your head. So
you need to sing it out loud.
Yeah. You need to use those vocal cords, like get it out.
And if you don't know the lyrics, just like look at the lyrics and sing along with it.
Yeah.
Like you just.
Not while you're driving.
PSI. Don't text and drive. Don't read lyrics and drive.
You knew all the words though when you were singing it?
No.
Oh.
I listened to that part that I just read, and it just, everything was on the spot of like,
gotcha.
Thank you for finally just giving me the love and tenderness that I've needed for so long, and that I neglected myself of for so long. And it was just my inside screaming, thank you. Finally, so thank you.
Yay. What a sigh of relief and gratitude. And I just love that.
I love it too. And I want everyone to just love themselves. I know it's so hard, but like, I just honing in on the fact that it took months and months and months and months of hard work, like a lot of work. Just like I was talking about in the last episode, like things get messy before they get clean. And this is part of the cleanliness of my cleaning the house of my crazy brain. And
even knowing that it may take way longer than months for some people, and shorter for others. Everyone's journey is their own journey. But just the ability to kind of stop and take a moment and realize where you are and how far you've come, and the things that you've been able to learn in your journey of self-love. Just take however long maybe you use that song, maybe take 3.5 minutes, right? And sing it to yourself. Or like you said, if that's not the song that you resonate with, then choose one of your liking. Because I think we all need to celebrate self-love a little bit more these days, especially.
That is the truth.
Yes.
I feel like you've always had this grasp, though, of self-love. Like going back to you saying, I liked somebody, I owned it, and you are just, oh my God, you're just so secure, and you do love yourself. So I guess when it comes to relationships and love, like, did you have like this model of, I'm not going to settle for anything less than X, Y, and Z? Or like, what did that look like for you?
Yeah, I think that a big part of my security and loving myself and not really caring so much about other people's opinions comes from watching my parents love each other as I was younger and growing up, right? So long story short, my dad, Mike, the redhead, hey dad up there, He passed away last August. So we were always the two redheads running around, wreaking havoc around town. But I met my dad when I was 2, and him and my mom got together, and they were together for 20 something years before he passed away. Can't do that math right now. But for me, watching him and her as I grew up, I mean, my dad was hilarious. If anyone knew my dad, he just had joke after joke after joke, and he always kept my mom laughing, like all the time. And she still says to this day, that's the biggest thing that she misses about him is his jokes, right? So we try to do a good job at keeping her still laughing these days. But I saw that continual love through laughter. You know, when you're younger and you see your parents make out, you're like, ew, gross, or that they're kissing or whatever they're doing. So initially that's like a kid's reaction to that. I don't know that I ever said ew, gross, or ever thought that it was like weird, honestly, because they would hug each other when they came home from work and, you know, be laughing in the kitchen or whatever that looked like for them. But it was, you know, of course they had their quarrels, like who doesn't, but for the majority of the time it was positive love. And not only did they show that love to each other, but they showed it to us. And they both of my parents put my sisters and I above anything that had to do with them. So we were always surrounded by this positivity. This makes me tear up a little bit. By this positive example of what love can be and what it should be. And, you know, I think it's super important when you have parents that emulate that. And even though their kids may say, ew, when they kiss or something, their kids see that and they know that, you know, eventually when they grow up, that was a positive thing that they were able to witness and to be around and to, you know, want in their future relationships, because it was always just a great thing to watch. There was, I mean, I can't even really put it into words, to be honest with you, but I mean, that was my first example of like seeing, you know, adults be their kind and true self, not only to themselves, but to each other. And I think that has really helped me to be who I am today, to know that that's the kind of love that I want to show our children one day. Okay. Yeah. They're going to be like, ew, moms are making out. But you know, and we're going to.
Or like, cool, your moms are making out. Depending.
Wow. Yeah. When they're teenage years. Wow. You just fast forwarded like real fast. Yeah. Okay. So there could be that. But I mean, just in general about just giving that positivity and that laughter and those big squeezes and all the kisses and stuff. I think my parents definitely showed that to me. Mm-hmm. And I'm very grateful for that. Yeah. What about you?
No, I feel like it's pretty similar. Like when I was in my previous relationship, I like knew it wasn't going to work because I wanted to laugh with my person the way that my parents laughed together. Yeah. My parents always took the time, like they worked kind of separate shifts. Like my dad would go in at midnight. My mom was working all day. So they only had, say, 1 hour a day together. And they would always, yes, they would put us first all day, every day. But they took at least 20 minutes to just have a drink, sit outside or sit in front of their fish tank like two freaking cuties. And just like watch the fish and talk about their day. And my dad was always making my mom laugh, and you know, they're big PDA people. Yeah, they would kiss all the time, and I knew I wanted the same thing, and I knew I wasn't going to get that in this. I say this previous relationship because it was so long, because it was 5.5 years. The other ones were shorter, so that was the first relationship that was like, am I going to marry this person?
Right.
And we didn't laugh.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I was still joke. Not, she didn't think it was very funny. You, on the other hand?
Oh, man. I'm buying the tickets to the Bethany comedy show every night. Front row, baby.
I don't even got to tell a joke and you think I'm funny.
No, it's so true.
It is so true. I love it. I love it so much.
Yeah.
But yeah, very much so. My parents modeled what I the view that I had on them is what I wanted in my life partner.
Yeah.
And I got it.
Yeah.
In you, for sure. So a lot of that. And so, I mean, going back to that too, like her parents weren't lovey-dovey and her parents didn't make each other laugh. And that's maybe not important for some people. And so maybe that's just not your person, right? Like
Right.
It could be as easy as the fact that you both are looking for two different things when it comes to what are the most important things on your list.
Yeah.
Our top ones were, we're going to laugh.
Totally.
And if you're with somebody and theirs is, I want to be serious, then you're never going to work.
Exactly. Yeah. And because opposites don't always attract in that way.
Right.
So
right.
something to consider. So how is it, this is interesting to me. How is it for you, like introducing, you know, people that you loved, or honestly, people you were trying to figure out if you loved, to your parents who were jokesters and PDA people? And I mean, because I know how it was for me, but I want to know how it was for you introducing these folks to Ma and Pa.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was usually my mom, because they would come over, like either I worked with them, so they come over after work, like working at the restaurant, or whatever it was, after a date night or something, and my mom was sitting there with her, you know, doing her paperwork, drinking her Corona, with her happy feet going.
I wish I could do paperwork as a nurse and drink Coronas.
Yeah, why not, right? But yeah, it would just be like a quick intro. But also for me, it was like, once I got to that point of introducing them to my family, it was just another hook for me to stay.
Yeah.
So it was almost like I was trapping myself, because especially if my parents liked who I was dating, it made it even harder for me when I realized that this isn't my person, to walk away, because now they have a relationship with my family. And so I'm like, okay, it's also been 4 months, so now I have to say I love you. And
right, you're just like trying to hit these
myself.
You're just trying to hit these, what's the word I'm looking for, like almost
bullet like check boxes, or like
definitely check points, like you're trying to, I don't know, man, respectfully, I don't know what you were thinking.
I don't know.
But how, like, when were you introducing these people to your parents? Like,
I don't know. I think it was
randomly.
I think it was all different. Yeah. It really depends.
Yeah. See, for me, I always had this mentality where if you don't get along with my family, this isn't going to work for me, kind of thing. Okay. So it was basically, oh, sure, I'm going to go on a date with this person, and then you're going to come over and meet my extended family in the same day. No problem. I remember, oh my gosh. I remember having a first date with someone who actually came over to my parents' house. I had never met this person before. I was a mutual friend. We met through, Facebook. She looked at your Facebook. Do you want to look at hers, kind of thing? And I was like, well, listen, I'm having a birthday party for myself tonight. So why don't you guys just come over? Right? Like, we'll meet. It'll be a huge group setting. No big deal. This poor girl shows up and I'm like, hi, I'm Ashlee. And this is my mom, my dad, my 3 sisters, all of my parents' friends. There's probably 35 people in the house. And she was, probably like, what in the world is happening? But for me, it was so important to know that my parents, saw something in this person that was going to, be a positive thing for me, and that they supported, and there weren't any red flags for them. So if you went on a first date with me, you pretty much went on a first date with my whole family in the same day.
That's not intimidating.
Well, if you can roll with them, you can roll with anybody. Okay.
So for you, it was a test, and for me, it was a trap.
Totally.
Interesting.
Yes.
Yes. I prefer your methods.
Yeah. I mean, you better not be going on any more first dates, but it's important to have their opinion, in my opinion, or you can look at it from Bethany's point of view, where it's a trap, and you really should be waiting for that right time, because everyone's different. Maybe you want to wait a little bit. Maybe you want to wait until 6 months, or until you have those hopefully true, authentic feelings of love to introduce your person to your family. whoever your family is comprised of, because, you know, it's okay to have a different opinion on that. Me, I'm like, we're jumping in, and it's going to work or it's not going to work. So interesting.
Mm-hmm. So we did this fun thing this time, right? Where we asked people for questions on the topic of love, any form of love, whatever that means.
Yep.
And so our first question is from Brittany. And Brittany's question is, being a power couple and a couple that people look up to, is it hard to always hold it together when you may be in disagreement and have to be around other people? We are a couple that people look up to, but just like any other couple, we have our disagreements, and sometimes we find ourselves trying hard not to duke it out right then and there because other people think we're perfect. What do you think about that?
It's a good question. I mean, I think the first thing to sort of realize is that everyone has their disagreements, and it's all in the way. I think a lot of that stems from how you communicate with one another. Because if you have respect for the human that you're having a disagreement with, in this case, of course, you, my soulmate, having those challenging times in front of other people and holding things back at that time, that may be the right time to do that and say, hey, I think we have to talk about this. We're going to talk about it later because, you may be in a really big event, right? A big gathering, a holiday party, or whatever that case looks like. But it depends on what the argument is. So if something comes up and you disagree, maybe it involves other people in that conversation, or maybe it involves just the two of us. And if it involves just the two of us and it doesn't affect anyone else, for me, I'm like, yeah, we're going to talk about this later, because I never want to go to bed upset with you, or carry that over, because sort of that negative energy is only going to make that gathering or party, if you will, it's going to bring that energy down.
Well, especially what she's touching on is the power couple part of it. And I think that the larger gatherings, I think that it's easier to hide when you're in disagreement because there's so much going on. But I'm thinking of the times when we're just hanging out with our friends, probably 3 of them, the ones I can think of that we typically hang out with on a casual Friday night or whatever. When there's friction between you and I, if we don't agree on something, they don't even know how to handle themselves. They don't even know. So it's like they look up to us so much to set the mood and to set the tone for gatherings. I feel sometimes that if you and I aren't on the same page, which isn't very often, but when we're not, you could tell. Like it's, I almost have to pull you aside to be like, we need to pretend that this is not a problem because these people are relying on our happiness, which is hard. Like,
it is.
We have to sit there and kind of put a fake face on sometimes if we're in disagreement for something, which again happens few and far between. Usually has to do with, like, I don't know, putting me on blast or something, or that I'm not ready for you to put me on blast about, because we, talk about everything, and sometimes, you want to share with other people the things that I say. Or
that's true.
And it's kind of like, ooh, that was kind of supposed to be between you and I, right. But but so yeah. And it is a lot of pressure.
It is, knowing
that we aren't allowed to come down from any level than fun and happiness, or else everyone comes down with us. And that's hard.
We've even talked about too, having, I'll call them a small gathering, a few friends together to even just talk about hard things, and not have this like, dinner party with, cooking and wine and all these like positive things. We've talked about setting aside a day to talk about the things that are going on that are crappy. Because it's not, you can't be at a level 10 and happy all the time. You have to have these moments of disagreement and sadness and anger and frustration. And I think that it's important that you share that with your friends and have those hard conversations together as a couple, because that only gives them another insight into your life, and is maybe potentially helpful for them and their own relationship to see the way that you are hopefully able to effectively communicate, even though it's not an ideal situation.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like if you see a couple on social media or something, you're like, oh, they're perfect. I'm never going to find that.
Sure. Yeah.
And so if they're thinking that about us, hypothetically speaking, and then they see that we also have friction, we don't get along all the time.
Right.
But, there are those cases that hopefully allows them to realize that it's not just this hunky-dory land of perfect love all the time.
Right.
And that they can still have that friction and have love.
Right.
Because a couple that they look up to has that too.
Right.
Right.
And we can hopefully help them with tools to navigate through those challenging times where they don't agree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's no such thing as a perfect relationship.
Absolutely not.
So if somebody's looking at you thinking that you're a quote unquote perfect couple, well, they could probably realize that you're not, because nobody is. And everyone goes through that kind of crap.
Totally.
Hopefully that helps, Brittany.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it does, but happy to talk about it further. But we appreciate the question.
Thanks, Brittany.
All right. Next question. The last question is from Laura. And Laura asks, do both of your families celebrate your love?
Great question.
Right?
Yeah. Do you want me to go first?
If you want to.
Okay.
You just talked a lot. I don't know if you need a sip of water or
Oh,
something.
go ahead. Well, I will take a break. Go ahead. You go first. I want to hear what you have to say, Bethany.
We are both very lucky in the sense of our love being celebrated by both of our families. When I first came out of the closet, my mom, basically, I was crying to her because, well, it's funny because when I came out, it was because of you, right? I broke up with my first girlfriend because I was in love with you. And I was very sad that first love was going away, even though I was excited for this new one. So I came downstairs from my room and I said, Mom, my mom's like, what's wrong? I'm like, I didn't want to tell you this way, but I broke up with my girlfriend. And she was like, what? Tell me something I didn't already know. Like, obviously you have been dating this person who's been sleeping over pretty much every day for the past year. And then in the morning after, my dad, came into the computer room where I was and said, hey, so you finally came out of the closet. You know what that means, right? Same rules as your brother, no sleeping in the same bed. I was like, damn it.
Yikes.
Why did I say anything?
Right.
But yeah, no, it was very, very open from the beginning. So I was very, very, very lucky, and I am thankful for my parents' acceptance and love to this day. Yeah, for sure. How about you?
That's amazing. So my dad, again, he comes up in this respect. So my first girlfriend at Cathedral High School would write me notes. This was before the day of texting. Okay. Honestly. And
the good old days.
If you remember passing notes in class, like, how cool.
Check yes or no.
I wish I wish we could get back to that. But she would write me notes and then she would give them to me in the hallway, and I just never threw any of them away. So I put them in my purse because I, walked around with a backpack and a purse in high school. Embarrassing.
Sexy.
Okay. Yeah. It was one of those ones, that had like little, what's the word I'm looking for? Handles, and you just like carry it around.
Oh
yeah.
God.
Embarrassing. Anyways, so my purse was like overflowing with notes from this girl. And my dad took it upon himself. Well, I stupidly left it on the kitchen counter. He took it upon himself to open one and then another one. And so he probably read like, I don't know, 5 or 6 out of the 30 notes I had in my purse. And he was like, he came down to the computer room and he put his hand on my shoulder and he goes, Red, I just want to let you know that I know.
Ooh.
Meanwhile, I'm on AIM with my screen name. I have to say it. I think at that point it was Redalicious 1201.
It's better than mine. That was SpongeBob Baby 89, and I was born in 90, so I was pretending I was a year older than myself.
Oh my gosh.
Anyways.
Yeah, you're not an 80s baby. Anyways. Yeah, so I'm literally on AIM talking to my girlfriend at the time, saying he knows we're in so much trouble. I start crying. And he's like, I just want you to know that it's okay and I still love you. And I was like, whew, like what a sigh of relief being 15 and hearing that from your parents when you think you're potentially going to get in trouble for something like that. Right. And so then I kept messaging her and he said, it's okay. Like, we're not in trouble. It's kind of sad that that's where your mind initially goes when you have someone, when you have your parent or a guardian or someone find that out about you. But he said, nope, I still love you. I still support you, whatever makes you happy. And then my next question was like, are you going to tell mom? Because I don't know if mom's going to handle that very well.
Yeah. Mom who goes to church every Sunday. And
Yeah. So he had over the years said that he had told her and she just never believed him.
Over the years. Wow.
So I never had a conversation with my mom that I was, gay until I was 21.
Oh my
yeah.
God.
So he had dropped hints for 6 years to her that was my story. And she was like, oh, Mike, that's not a thing. And, so then it was both of my parents and myself at home. I was a junior in nursing school and my dad randomly, we're sitting on the couch. He goes, so Red, when are you going to tell your mother that you're gay? I was like,
my God.
Right now, Dad, I guess is a good time because she was sitting right there. And she said, Mike, she's not gay. And I looked at her and I was like, Mom, I'm gay. And she said, that's okay. I love you anyway. And then I went back to college because I lived on campus and my dad texted me and he's like, so your mother's not okay. She's bawling her eyes out right now. And, he was just being very honest with me and because I wouldn't want to come home and keep telling her things if she couldn't process them. Mm-hmm. And so I thought that was important that he was honest with me about that. And, at the end of the day, my mom is one of the most supportive people of our love and our story.
Absolutely.
And, you're another daughter for her. So we are very fortunate because my mom sought out a lot of help with her church and, some groups of people going through the same thing as a parent as she was. And she came out on the other side more proud than anyone, right? In my opinion. So it was very cool. And we feel the love, Mom.
Love.
Yeah.
But obviously not everybody has it as we do. Like they're not as lucky, as us. And we have friends whose family don't accept them. And the thing with that is that even if that never comes around, like, first of all, give it time. But if it never comes around, the family that they build through friends and mentors and
the community, honestly,
it's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
It really, really is. Yes.
So, if your parents or guardians, aren't accepting, they might just not understand how important like love is. Like maybe they don't have that feeling of knowing, like, if this is so undeniable, then you have to do this. Like if they just don't understand that and they're stuck to their roots of religion or whatever that might be, even in almost 2022, which still blows my mind, but it happens. We see it every single day. You get this beautiful opportunity to build your family.
Absolutely. And I think that starting with that self-love and potentially finding that person to help you find that self-love, and then building, again, that community, building that safe space, building those friends. And honestly, some of your friends' parents or your friends' families, and you have essentially this army around you that will show you what continual love is, no matter who you are or who you love or what you believe in. The most important thing is being true to yourself, because you should not live this one life that you've been given for anyone else but you. Right? And
yeah, I mean, where you are right now, wherever you're listening from, you got yourself there.
Yes.
Like you made it. You did it. There is nothing that anybody can do to stand in your way at this point, because you have just paved that way of being you. And if you can just continue to love yourself, or even start to love yourself, I think you don't realize how much you actually do love yourself. You got here, and we're both proud of you for that.
And then sing some Natalie Merchant.
And sing some Natalie Merchant at the top of your lungs. If you don't know the lyrics, look them up when you're not driving and just sing. Just sing. Just, it's
going to be so great.
You really just don't understand.
Yes.
That you really are the only person that you need.
Mm-hmm.
And the other people just enhance that, you know? But choose the people that bring out the best in you.
Yes.
And that love you the way that you love yourself.
I love that.
I just want to hug everyone. Whoever's listening right now, just feel our hug on you, because
so many hugs.
If you feel like you don't feel love, we're definitely giving it to you. And hopefully building this community of people who will embrace you with open arms.
100%.
All right. I think that's enough love for today.
Yay.
I mean, I never want to stop love. We're going to turn off this microphone and then talk more love. But because we're going on a date now.
Woo.
All right, friends, family, listeners.
Everybody. We love you.
Talk to you soon, and we love you very much.
Yeah. Cheers.